Welcome to our masterclass on how to maintain food safety during food processing. My name is Shangendamona Mungoba, and I am a senior consultant at Ialago Food Assurance Consultants, also known as IFEC. IFEC is a Namibian-based company in Volvis. It offers services in food safety and quality assurance management. IFEC services includes training of various courses and as required by respective food safety and quality management systems. We also implement and maintain food safety and quality management systems for clients in various food manufacturing and food service sectors, such as fishing, dairy, and the poultry industry. Let's go through the housekeeping rules. Please mute your mic until you are granted the chance to speak. However, you're welcome to pop your questions in the chat. Otherwise, you can wait until the Q&A section at the end. Next slide, please. Let's go through the content that we'll be covering. We'll go through my experience in the food industry, my responsibilities at IFEC. We'll identify consumers and their needs. We'll also go through the food safety maintenance during food preparation, which is the topic that brought us here. Next slide, please. I'm a food technologist by profession that recently specialized in food systems and management. My experience in the food industry is quite broad. This was achieved through international working environments and academics. I acquired skills on various producer farms, one of the biggest from high-tech mushroom growers, celery growers, and packers, processing plants of fruit and vegetables, dairy, meat or fish, poultry, and beverage manufacturing, to mention a few. I mainly worked in quality and technical departments to ensure quality assurance, which overlap with sales and production roles. I chose to specialize in food systems because after a few years in the food industry, I learned that food supply networks are growing to be complex, from food chains to more webbed networks. And with limited resources, food security, quality, and safety will be threatened. Hence, I needed to develop my skills beyond food processing to knowledge in food sourcing, raw material production, developing resilient and sustainable distribution channels, and understanding how all these factors impact the environment. I'm afraid someone needs to mute their mic. Can you check if your mic is muted, participants? Thank you. Food safety systems are meant to guarantee safety and quality management systems throughout all steps involved in food sourcing, production, and preparation. This is also known as farm to fork. Historically, food was easily sourced and in most instances, grown by the consumer. The quality and transparency of food was easily traced by consumers. Recently, food is sourced from various countries. This is mainly because food has become harder to grow and consumers demand more variety than ever. This phenomenon results in complex networks, which are now known as food systems, as opposed to food chains. These food systems can be quite convenient considering affordability and accessibility. Food which might have been seasonal can be on shelves all year round. The complexity of these systems may compromise food safety and food quality. Therefore, food safety needs to be maintained now more than ever. In this masterclass, I will touch on these ways, and food stakeholders at all levels can see how to be involved in maintaining food safety. Next slide, please. Since having joined IFEC, I was introduced to a modern and versatile environment that caters to clients with various food safety management needs. This is in terms of HACCP plans, various products and flow diagrams depending on the magnitude of factory capacity. I'm excited to be part of a fast-growing consultancy that has made history in launching the first learning management system. Hence, we're equipped to train virtually and face-to-face, which is sustainable and can be easily accessed through various platforms. I just have a quick question. Am I still audible? Next slide, please. There you have a picture of me giving a presentation. And that is a screenshot of one of the articles I've written on our social media platform. Let's go through the first poll. Quality assurance is quality assurance is process-oriented and quality control is product-oriented. So you have to answer if it's either true or false. You have a minute. Are the polls in? I'm checking with the moderators. Okay. Can we have our results? Great. The polls are in. You've all selected the right answer. The statement stands as true. Next slide, please. Excuse me. Let's identify our consumers and their needs. In the slide, you can see the various consumers and have an idea of what I'll be saying. Consumers are the end users of the food. They range from all ages, with various health conditions. For example, babies and seniors or elders are expected to consume soft food with no choking hazards. And immunocompromised individuals, this can either be sickly or people that are on medication, would need clean and safe food that would not trigger drastic immune response. Next slide, please. Let's identify the levels of food safety accountability. The first level of accountability starts with the parties involved in the growing and harvesting stage. This is either on land or sea. The environment where the food is sourced must be critically analyzed and documented. This information will help the next level of accountability. For example, the food processor. Post-harvested food is either processed into other complex products that undergo vigorous production and preservation steps. Post-harvested food can simply be ready for sale to households, for example, fresh fruit, or food service such as restaurants. It is the responsibility of this intermediate level to ensure that food is thoroughly inspected to vet if it's safe for consumption. The final level of accountability ends with the consumer. Domestically prepared food by consumers need to be properly stored and handled safely. For example, you need to ensure that you maintain the temperature and you read the label of the products accordingly. Oftentimes you have consumers buying, for example, a whole chicken, then they chuck it in their car trunks and then completely forget that they're supposed to maintain a cold chain, meaning you're supposed to maintain the temperature considering the time. So if you park your car in a shopping mall somewhere before you get home, then you have a chance of food poisoning or food spoiling. Next slide, please. So how do we maintain food safety during processing? These are the basic steps. Next slides, please. So those are the few steps which I'll be going through. The first point being we need to implement food safety and quality management systems. These are various systems in place that guide food handlers on how to process, document, and generally operate in the food production. This is where we come in as IFAC to help clients develop and maintain food safety and quality management systems. Food production requires manual intervention, even when using automated processing technology. Hence, the need to have valid and updated training of food handlers and other management level advanced training. Okay, the moderator just noted that I was freezing. Maybe you might have not gotten that. I'm going to have to repeat. Please bear with us. So how do we implement food safety and quality management systems? There are various systems in place that guide food handlers on how to process, document, and generally operate in the food production. This is where we come in as IFAC to help clients develop and maintain food safety and quality management systems. Food production requires manual intervention, even when using automated processing technology. Hence, the need to have valid and updated training of food handlers and other management level advanced training. The Hazard Analysis and Critical Control Point, also known as HACCP, this system is one of the oldest management systems known. HACCP addresses food safety by identifying and controlling hazards, biological, chemical, and microbiological. HACCP is one of the maintained and implemented system for our clients. However, we also help with the implementation and management of other food safety and quality assurance management systems. such as the Food Safety System Certification 22,000, also known as FSSC 22,000. The other system is International Organization for Standardization, also known as ISO 22,000, and the International Featured Standard, which is the IFS, to mention a few. Next slide, please. The factory or plant needs to be constructed and designed considering food safety risks. In the pictures in the slide, you can see flaking paint and rusted facility. There's also a flow diagram. So when it comes to food processes, there needs to be a clear and defined flow diagram. This also eases the workflow. There's also a picture of tankers or silos with smooth and a clean appeal. So this is how the equipment needs to be designed. They need to be easy to clean. Some have cleaning in place, also known as CIP, and then you also have some that are cleaning out of place where they are disassembled, and then cleaners can clean while they are out of place and before reassembling when processing. Our services also include food production or preparation facility inspection. These are crucial for audit and certification preparations. Food processing equipment needs to be easy to clean and durable. Cleaning and maintenance are continually monitored to ensure that food debris, disinfectant or maintaining lubricants do not accumulate, which may end up in the food product. Next slide, please. We're actually up for our second poll. Is the question up? Can we all see? Right, food security and food safety have the same meaning. What's your take on this? Food security and food safety have the same meaning. It can either be true or false. You have a minute. Okay, the results are in. How are we doing? Great. You all answered false, and that is correct. We can move on to our next slide. Personal hygiene, overall cleaning, routine, and sanitation. The personal hygiene of food handlers ensures that food handlers do not pose a threat to food safety. This includes the health of the food handler. All right, the moderator instructed that I have to restart. Please bear with me. Personal hygiene, overall cleaning, routine, and sanitation. The personal hygiene of food handlers ensures that food handlers do not pose a threat to food safety. This includes the health of the food handler. In the picture, you have a no vomiting sign. So the food handlers need to ensure that they're healthy. Oftentimes, it is a requirement that food handlers undergo a medical check for food handlers. We also have a picture of someone slicing meat with a protective glove. This is also very helpful and part of the overall hygiene. And we have a picture of color coding regimes that are often practiced to separate cleaning equipment from various levels of microbial load. So it is best to avoid using the same equipment for high microbial load to low microbial load to avoid contamination. I'm afraid I can hear someone. Can we just see that our mics are muted? I can hear the participant. Thank you. Next slide. Raw material inspection and storage. All received goods are inspected for temperature abuse, pests, or damage upon dispatch at the food production site. Now, when it comes to someone in the fishing industry or produce, a grower would inspect what they harvested. But if you're in a processing facility where you rely on receiving raw material, you'd have to inspect what you receive. And if it's a temperature sensitive product, you ensure that you maintain the cold chain by inspecting the truck that sent or that delivered the products. The packaging, for instance, which is also raw material, needs to be consistent and ensure that the packaging material used will keep the product safe and maintain the expected shelf life. Next slide, please. So what is food defense and food fraud? Food defense management is defined as the efforts made to ensure that food is not intentionally tampered with. There are a lot of reasons why food may be deliberately tampered with, from disgruntled employees to business competitors. You can read up on it on an article known as Foodborne Bioterrorism Acts to learn how America vowed to ensure food is always kept safe in any terrorist scenario since the September 11 attacks. Food fraud, on the other hand, is the management that refers to intentionally altering food to deceive consumers or customers for financial gain. So with food fraud, it includes dilutions, substitutions of ingredients, counterfeit goods, etc. And food defense, this includes terrorism, sabotage. This is intentional. Both are intentional, but with various reasons. Next slide, please. Pest and waste management. Pests are controlled by identifying the kind of pests to understand its source and attraction. This knowledge will help identify effective treatment methods and enhance the monitoring and evaluation methods. So when it comes to pest control, we have to identify, meaning you have to know the kind of pests and what it usually consumes. And then you prevent. This can be done by ensuring that the factory structure has well-closing or self-closing facilities and bait systems in place. And then you also then target how you're going to eradicate the pest infestation, if any. So most processing facilities would have a certificate depending on the pest treatment in place. Next slide, please. Research and development. So the food industry experts, they work very hard to ensure that there is always improvements in the food products, food regulations, and so forth. Manufacturers rely on customers at all levels, from wholesalers to end users for customer complaints and general feedback and product experience. Feedback is eminent as various circumstances influence food product use. Product research and developers analyze food trends in customer complaints, food recalls, legal requirements. Example, the sugar tax noted in the Philippines to curb obesity. R&D is based on demography or globalization. Example, inclusion of various cultures and religions. Competition of resources and ultimately consumers result in a scramble for resources, which may result in the displacement of certain foods. By this, I mean countries that are economically stronger than underprivileged countries, they would end up consuming more food, leaving the underprivileged to just produce for them and have nothing for themselves to sustain. So R&D, I'm sorry, there's a participant with an unmuted mic. Can you just check if your mic is muted? Competition of resources and ultimately consumers result in a scramble for resources, which may result in the displacement of certain foods. R&D looks for safe and cost-effective ways to change suppliers for various products or services. Lastly, food security is also researched to support consumers with nutritious products. For example, meat-based protein has become expensive. Really, it has. Hence, R&D would formulate products that will help consumers meet their required protein intake. Having mentioned all the above means of maintaining food safety at IFAC, we are able to assist you in implementing all the above solutions. So if you find yourself in need of any of the points raised, please feel free to contact us to provide solutions for your company or your project. It's time for the next poll. So the poll reads, food safety maintenance is not a consumer's responsibility. Food safety maintenance is not a consumer's responsibility. You as a customer, you are not responsible for food safety. It can either be true or false. You have a minute. I'll just check in with the moderator if all the results are in. The results are in, and we have a tie. So some of you believe that a consumer is responsible for food safety, and others believe the contrary. Depending on your context though, because everything is debatable in this world. So let's explain what this meant or how I understand it. So as a consumer, you are responsible for ensuring that you maintain food safety. By this, I mean you're supposed to still practice food safety preparation techniques. The moderator notified me that I was freezing. Okay, let me repeat the results on the poll. So the question was, food safety maintenance is not a consumer's responsibility. And your response was a tie. Some of you believe that it's true, and some of you believe the contrary, that it's false. But because everything is debatable based on the context, I would have to explain further. So food safety maintenance is a consumer's responsibility in the degree that if you purchase food, you are still supposed to practice food safety in a sense that you're supposed to wash your hands, ensure that your environment or the kitchen or wherever that you're preparing the food is clean. You wash your hands and that you protect your food from contaminants, such as ensuring that there are no chemical contaminants, residue of the soap that you're using, or physical contaminants, the hair getting into the food. So you're responsible in that degree. You're also responsible for reading the label. Are the allergens present? So you always have to have a consumer in mind. By consumer, I mean who you are serving. So even if you're a domestic food producer, your family, they are the consumer. So it is your responsibility in that regard. However, as a food producer, it's also my responsibility, definitely. That's why there are a lot of lawsuits in the industry with regards to food safety not being practiced. So we all need to be responsible. It doesn't only end with the food manufacturer. Right, next slide, please. So this is the quote, which I just said, that food safety maintenance does not begin and end during processing. All points in the food supply system need to maintain food safety. With a participant that's unmuted, please check. Next slide, please. So here are the key notes to take away. Take a moment. This is something you're supposed to remember as a test that you recall from this masterclass. Always consider the consumer's interest when formulating or processing food. Are you producing or are you preparing food for a senior, someone who might be toothless, or a baby, or someone who might have allergies? So it's always best to ask people or the consumers that you're serving what their health conditions are or what they hope to achieve. I mean, food is not only eating, it's nourishment, but some people eat for the tasting experience and some because they aim to maybe body build. So they have to have a certain calorie intake or macro or micronutrient supply or ratio. The second point is food safety does not end with the manufacturer. Number 3, food security is not food safety. And lastly, food safety refers to food hazards, and food quality refers to consumer satisfaction, or value. Next slide, please. I would like to thank you for making it to the end of the masterclass. I hope you've taken away a few tips and will apply them in your home or work when handling food. I am happy to engage to your contributions and questions. For more information, please follow IFAC on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Feel free to contact us for consultations. I'm afraid I have to repeat that. I would like to thank you for making it to the end of the masterclass. I hope you've taken away a few tips and will apply them in your home or work when handling food. I'm happy to engage to your contributions and questions. For more information, please follow IFAC on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And feel free to contact us for consultations on food safety. Thank you. I just have to check with the moderators if there's any questions, or you can unmute and we can discuss.
Thank you, Lucia, for your comment. Thank you, Lucia, for your comment that states, thank you, IFAC, it's my pleasure. You are doing a great job. Well done. Thank you all for taking part. This is the Q&A session. If there was anything that was not clear during the presentation, feel free to ask questions. If you don't want to speak, you are welcome to write it in the chat. I am going to unmute everyone, those that I was forced to mute. Unmute. So you may unmute yourself if you want to say something. I had to mute you all when you entered because it was contradicting the sound. Right. Okay.
Yes, guys. Did I ever unmute? Can you hear me?
I'm afraid I did not get the question. Oh no, we can't. Well, now I can hear you. You should try because the laptop was muted. Can you please say what you were saying? Lucia.
Okay, it was my pleasure. Yes, it's good. You are doing a good job. Thank you.
Thank
Keep it
you.
up. We are learning a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you,
Yes.
Lucia. What have you learned? Anything new? Did I lose Lucia? Okay, I think I lost Lucia. I wanted to know if she's learned anything new. Do we have any more questions or comments, contributions? Any feedback? Can be on the content or the delivery. Maybe you want us to use a different platform. Any food experiences that you want to share? You're not aware of expiration dates, what they mean. All right. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll have to see you on our next masterclass. Just keep on following our pages. We will have moments like this frequently, and it would be great if we could share. We have very limited platforms in Namibia where we can discuss food related matters. It can be complaints. It can just be general experiences, products you'd want to see on the shelf. All right, moderator, just noted that there's a comment. Okay, let me enlarge this so I can see the comment. Okay, Matthew, just give me a moment. I'm enlarging my screen. All right. Yes, maybe you can, maybe the moderator can read it for me.
Okay. I will read Matthew's comment. Thank you, Matthew. All fine with me. Looking forward to have more sessions with you guys. Of course, Matthew, we have more sessions coming up. Just watch the space and our social media platforms. And thank you so much for joining us. And then we have Barbara. Hello, I am Dr. Barbara Sen. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, from Senegal. I am Senior Food Safety Specialist of the project Feed the Future BD4FS. Thank you so much, Barbara, all the way from Senegal, for joining us. We truly appreciate it. Would you like to share something, any comments or feedback about food safety? We are all here to learn from each other.
Okay, thank you very much. Not anything to add, just to present my project. BD4FS is a USAID project, business drivers for food safety. It is a project that helps the food processing company, the medium and little food processing company, to implement food safety system to help them to enhance, to improve their food safety management system. Yes, I want to say thank you very much.
Oh my word, I'm so sorry, guys. I realized I muted myself and never took it off. My apologies. Okay, Babaka, I am sorry I called you Barbara. My apologies for that. And thank you so much for joining us. By the sound of your explanation, we are in the same business. We are also food safety consultants. We do systems improvement, development, as well as implementation and food safety training. We have an online platform for all our food safety training. We have a couple of them, not all of them yet. It's new. It's called ISC, or IFEC Smart Center. You can see on the screen, you can go on to https //ifecsmartcenter.com. We have a okay, we have quite a variety of you can type it a variety of food safety courses. Not all of them. We are still in the process of putting a lot of them on, but we have a few of them, and it's quite cheap. It's not so expensive. It's affordable. Please check it out. All right. Thank you so much for everybody who joined us. Lucia, thank you. Thank you. Matthew, you are always with us, even in the last one, as well as Euphemia. Thank you guys for your continued support. We truly appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
you. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Lucia.
Bye, darlings.